Hello and welcome to another video review. This is Portal for PC, Mac, and Xbox 360. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know too much about Portal. Apparently it's a spiritual successor to Narbacular Drop. The team who worked on Narbacular Drop is actually employed at Valve now, and they wrote the game. So they also worked with the Valve team to fit the game into the Half-Life series' plot. And that's kind of a loose tie-in, to be honest with you, because I never really noticed too much that, keeps it similar. There's things here and there that you're just kind of like, oh, that seems familiar if you played Half-Life or Half-Life 2. But overall, it just seems kind of, like a loose tie-in and kind of random, to be honest with you. Now, as for the graphics, this was one of the first games to use the Orange Box version of the Source engine. It was released in the Orange Box along with Team Fortress 2 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2. And that means that they updated the shadows, the lighting in general. There's better shaders. Overall, it has higher detail than, the original Source engine games. But in terms of Portal, you really can't notice it all that much, because the textures and the modeling and everything is just meant to convey this very pristine lab feel, and everything's just kind of a different shade of gray, white, or blue. And of course there's orange in there too, but really it's just kind of they really did not take advantage of the Orange Box engine all that much. I mean, it doesn't look bad by any means, it just doesn't take full advantage of the engine, and it kind of is a detriment as a result. Now, maybe you notice I didn't say anything about animations. That's because there really aren't any. You see your character occasionally, but that's only if you look through the portals, and really the animations are just there to show that you are a person. So, overall the animations don't really add or subtract to the game, they're just there. So that leads to the sound design. The sound design is overall well done, as we expect of Valve. Now, the one thing I must say about this is it's very Spartan. And by that I mean that the sound design is just, that's very plain. The only thing you'll really hear all the time are the sounds of the machines working and GLaDOS speaking. The portal gun just makes the same, like, 4 sounds, no matter what it is, so you're really just, you don't really need any, like, concussive or beefy sound effects for anything. It's just kind of this, whimsical romp kind of thing. And the voice acting is well done. The only character you hear a voice from is GLaDOS, and, the voice actor did a really good job. It's Ellen McLean, I believe, did GLaDOS, and she's hilarious as the character, because GLaDOS is this basically sadistic computer, and, she's constantly lying to you, constantly trying to misdirect you and everything, so it just gets fun listening to GLaDOS speak the entire game. And then, of course, there's the music, which is well done, but it's a little bit over the top for this particular game. There's moments where it'll start playing, and it tries to convey like a hectic feel, and it really doesn't, because there's nothing hectic going on. They would have done much better with just plain mood music, but they did the same kind of techno score feel as like Half-Life 2, and it doesn't work, terribly, but it's not particularly great either. Then you've got the Portal's infamous or famous song, depending on your viewpoint, Still Alive, which was written by Jonathan Coulton, and GLaDOS sings it. So it's a fun little song. It's kind of silly, so you might as well look it up. Still Alive, Jonathan Coulton, and GLaDOS and all that. It's a fun song, but that's really the only standout track in the whole thing. All the others just kind of blend in. It's just kind of the same, general techno feel, and it's not bad, but it just, it's not anything that's particularly memorable. But the sound design and graphics really didn't make this game critically acclaimed. It was the gameplay, which is a very interesting kind of feel to it, because you're never really fighting anything. It's a first-person game, and with using the Source engine and released in the Orange Box, you'd expect it to be a first-person shooter, but it's not. It's more like a conceptual puzzle game, I guess you could call it. And to be honest with you, it feels more like a mod than anything else. And I'll get to that in a minute, but overall, what you do is you're given the portal gun, and you basically have to make portals to solve puzzles. And the puzzles get increasingly difficult, obviously, and increasingly long, But the problem with that is that's all you do the entire game, and the game is extremely short. On hard, I beat it in 2 hours. That shouldn't happen, people. That's way too short for a retail release. That is the shortest game I have ever played in my life, apart from Teen Agent, and that's supposed to be short because it's a point-and-click adventure game. I mean, you'd expect something like a point-and-click adventure game to be really short. You wouldn't expect a first-person game to be 2 hours long on the hardest difficulty. It's just, you know, kind of pathetic, really. And then, of course, there are the challenge maps and the bonus test chambers and everything, but still, it's just way too short. And it came in the orange box, and if you got it in the orange box, that's fine, because it's probably worth whatever you paid for it if it was in the orange box. I got it for free when they had that promotion for getting the release on Mac, so, you know, it was worth that. But if you're going to pay the retail price for it, it's just not worth it. You know, as a standalone game, it's not very good. It's interesting, and it's a cool concept, and if they worked on that and improved it and made it, you know, a longer game, then it would be, you know, much better. But it's just way too short, it's way too easy, and it's overall, it's just not that, you know, awesomeness we come to expect from Valve. You know, the Portal gameplay just kind of gets a little stale after, you know, the first few chest chambers, just because you're like, okay, I know how to do this now, and now everything gets way too easy for me. There's only like 2 or 3 puzzles in the entire game that are actually challenging, and that's only because the execution is difficult, not necessarily because you don't know what to do. So, you know, again, I beat it in 2 hours. It's way too short. It's not a bad game by any means, but that really lets it down. So overall, it's a 3 out of 5, and thanks for watching.